Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Herb Baumeister, Indiana serial killer. Herb Baumeister was born on April 7, 1947 in Indianapolis, Indiana. He died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Pinery Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada on July 3, 1996. He was 49 at the time of his death. Herb was the firstborn child to Elizabeth Schmidt and Dr. Herbert Eugene Baumeister. Dr. Baumeister was a successful anesthesiologist in Indianapolis. The couple would have a total of 4 children, with Herb being the oldest, of course. Herb attended Eastwood Junior High School in Indianapolis and later North Central High School on Indianapolis' northeast side. North Central, oddly enough, was also the high school that Jared Fogle attended. Much later, though. Jared Fogle is known for being the spokesperson for Subway restaurants in the early 2000s and recently was convicted on child pornography charges. He is currently incarcerated. But don't hold that against North Central. It's a perfectly normal high school with thousands and thousands of wonderful graduates. As an adolescent, Herb had a fascination with urine. He urinated on a teacher's desk and talked with his friends about the idea of drinking urine and wondering what it would taste like. He was also not averse to playing with dead animals, according to his friends. Herb's parents tried over the years to get mental health help for their oldest child. He was diagnosed as a teen as a paranoid schizophrenic with antisocial personality disorder. Herb attended Indiana University for a semester in 1965 but dropped out. He returned to Indiana University in 1967 for a time. In 1972, he went to Butler University briefly as well. Eventually, he just began working and was a very dedicated worker, according to those who knew him. In November of 1971, Herb married Julie Sater. 6 months after their wedding, Herb's dad had him committed for 2 months to a mental institution. Was Herb struggling with his sexuality or his criminal tendencies, or both? We don't know. Herb came back and seemed ready to be a good husband and productive member of society. Julie and Herb later had 3 children. In 1988, Herb founded a grocery store, Save-A-Lot, and it grew into a very successful chain across Indiana. When I lived in Terre Haute in 1988-1989 as an 18-year-old college student, I went to Save-A-Lot there quite a few times. I had a campus meal plan, but I would trek over to Save-A-Lot to buy junk food and cash a check at the customer service desk. In the days before ATMs and debit cards, this was an easy way to procure cash. You just took one of your checks over there and wrote a check out to cash, and the lovely ladies at the customer service desk would hand you cash minus a little processing fee. It might cost 50 cents or a dollar to cash a check, and that was well worth it to us college students who wanted to have some money to go out with that night. Save-A-Lot grocery stores were busy and successful. Herb was a workaholic and seemed determined to get past his early peculiarities. It seemed to his family that he had straightened up, matured, and was on the path toward success. Herb and Julie bought a big house north of Indianapolis called Fox Hollow Farm. It was nestled in a wooded area and had many amenities like an indoor pool. It seems like everything was perfect for the Baumeister family. But Herb's wife and children had no idea that their perfect life was all a facade. Herb was a workaholic, and he did indeed travel to his various Save-A-Lot locations frequently, but he also had a deadly side. Herb would go to gay bars and pick up young men. Being openly gay wasn't something that Herb felt he could do. Many men, even today, live their lives like this, They have a seemingly perfect Norman Rockwell family life at home and in public, but they frequently seek out sexual partners in gay bars or today on Grindr or other online forums. But Herb wasn't just cheating on his wife with men. Herb was murdering many of these men and boys that he picked up. For a time, he was leaving their bodies in rural areas along Interstate 70. Later, he would bring these men home to Fox Hollow Farm in Westfield, Indiana, and kill them there. One day in the early 1990s at Fox Hollow Farm, the Baumeister children brought home human bones that they had found in the woods. Mrs. Baumeister was horrified and told Herb. He said that the skeleton was a medical specimen that had belonged to his father, the doctor. He said he buried it out there and animals must have dug up the bones. Herb's father had, been a doctor after all. This was believable. Herb said he would take care of the problem. He put the full skeleton in a box and stored it in the garage for a while. Later, he reburied it in the garden. Julie Baumeister believed her husband. Just about anyone would have believed him. He had a very carefully crafted public persona. Serial killers are very good at pretending to be regular people. Who were Herb's victims? Well, they were mostly poor and marginalized. Many were estranged from their families. Homosexuality was frowned upon by most of society in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Victims were blamed for living a risky lifestyle. Anytime we blame victims, whether it's men or women or children, anytime we blame the victims, we create an atmosphere where we maybe don't investigate deep enough. We maybe think there's nothing to do nothing we can do to stop this dangerous behavior. So in that way, Herb got away with many, many murders. Victim blaming is about seeing that victim as less worthy of an investigation. Oh, well, they were gay, so ew. Or they were a prostitute, so ew. Or they were a girl who should have been home that night instead of out walking down the street. Or what were they thinking? All this victim blaming, it does nothing to solve murders. Michael Sean Petrie was only 15. He lived near Indianapolis downtown area. He was part of a big family, and they were struggling financially. Michael frequented gay bars and accepted money for sex. When you grow up poor and nothing ever seems to improve, you can sometimes fall into the trap of thinking that nothing matters. Maybe Michael Petrie was feeling like that. Maybe these gay bars were full of music and dancing and people who understood what it was like to be a gay teenager in Indiana. So maybe he felt, at home, accepted. Yes, a teenage boy should not be anywhere near a bar. Yes, he should have been at home. If he needed money, why didn't he get a paper route? Well, he did have a paper route for a while. But not everyone's life is like a TV sitcom. Some kids feel alienated. Some kids struggle with depression and anxiety. Some kids grow up around abusive people. I don't know if Michael had any of those challenges, but he might have. Most people don't get a television sitcom life. They certainly didn't in the 1970s. On Saturday, June 7, 1980, Michael Petrie mysteriously disappeared. He was found on June 16, 1980, by a farmer and his dog along Cynthiana Road. Michael was nude and face down in a water-filled ditch near Strawtown. He had been strangled. Strawtown is a little community north of Indianapolis and east of Cicero, Indiana, and east of the Morse Reservoir. If you're in Indianapolis, you can take Fall Creek, which is also known as Binford, which is also known as Indiana 37, now also known as Interstate 69, straight to Strawtown. Michael's body, went unidentified at first. Sadly, several families of missing young men were looking for their children. His body was in a state of decomposition that made things like eye color difficult to determine. Authorities identified the remains as Michael Petrie, and he was buried. But later they exhumed and examined the body again. Dental records would finally confirm that this was indeed 15-year-old Michael Petrie. In 1982, Maurice Allen Taylor was 22 and struggling. He found shelter in a boiler room of an apartment building. It's incredibly difficult to get a job when you don't have an address. It's even more difficult for a young gay man. So Maurice found himself doing what a lot of poor people do. He was a sex worker in order to eat and survive. Maurice was found on July 21st, 1982 in Hamilton County. His shirt was missing. He was found in Weasel Creek in a rural area. He had also been strangled. Weasel Creek feeds into the Morse Reservoir eventually, so this isn't far from where Michael Petrie was found 2 years earlier. I wondered if Herb Baumeister's dad had maybe a boat when Baumeister was growing up. I wonder if they went out to Morse Reservoir sometimes. He seems familiar with that area. It seems he felt comfortable going there. Delvoyd Lee Baker was 14. He had also fallen into the trap of sex work at gay bars. There were many men living closeted lives that wanted gay sex but couldn't live an open life as a gay man. So they dipped in and out of the scene. They used aliases and they paid sex workers. Not all of these men were violent killers. But Delvoyd Baker did meet a killer on Saturday, October 2nd of 1982. He was found the next day, also near a river, and also in Hamilton County. Witnesses who last saw him said he was leaving with a white man who had a mustache and was driving a van. Are you seeing yet that there were patterns here already if an investigator had wanted to follow up on them? Victim blaming, homophobia, and racism are attitudes that allow crime to flourish. On June 5, 1983, Michael Andrew Riley was found in a ditch in Hancock County, near Greenfield. He had last been seen at the Vogue nightclub in the Broad Ripple neighborhood in Indianapolis. A witness came forward in 1998 to report that they thought that Herb Baumeister was the man that Michael Riley had left the club with that night. In early 1985, Eric Allen Retker disappeared. He was later found strangled and discarded in Preble County, Ohio. His disappearance was a daytime occurrence. He had been waiting at a bus stop and heading out to job interviews. Had he accepted a ride from a stranger instead of taking the bus? On August 15, 1986, the body of Michael Allen Glenn was found in a ditch near Eaton, Ohio. That's also in Preble County. He was not identified for 3 years. James Boyd Robbins Jr. left his mother's home in Indianapolis and was walking south in the city on Thursday, October 15th. It was about 10 p.m. On October 17, 1987, he was found naked in a ditch in Shelby County, south of Gwenville. That's roughly southeast of Indianapolis, maybe a 30-minute drive away, 40-minute drive away. Gwenville is a small town northeast of Shelbyville, if you're looking for it on the map. James Robbins Jr. was only 21. People reported a red Jeep Wrangler or a red Chevy Blazer near the scene there. In August of 1989, Stephen Lynn Elliott was found in Preble County, Ohio. He had also been strangled and left in a ditch. You can see the pattern more easily with the passing of time like this. Many murders are happening around Indianapolis, but mostly on the northeast side or southeast side of town. He wasn't going west much yet. And he wasn't going to the far southeast side of town. People stick to the roads and the areas that they are familiar with. Most of the Midwest was laid out on a grid system. So it's not too difficult to go places and find your way back. If you get off the interstate, you can find your way back to the interstate fairly easily because of that grid system. Baumeister was dipping into Preble County, Ohio. It seems like he's purposefully orchestrating a look of randomness, or trying to make these Ohio murders seem like the work of someone from Ohio. He also wants these murders to seem unrelated. But the pattern is there. With everything else going on at the time, it probably didn't jump out to anyone at all. But we can see it now. Clay Russell Boatman was found in a ditch, also near Eaton, Ohio. Again, Baumeister is taking a victim to Eaton, which is in Preble County. Boatman was from Richmond, which is just across the Indiana border from Ohio. Clay Russell Boatman was a 32-year-old licensed practical nurse. He was last seen at a gay bar called Our Place in Richmond on August 14, 1990. Thomas Ray Clevenger Jr. was found in Greenville, Ohio. From Interstate 70, Herb Baumeister would have turned north instead of south toward Eaton. In this case, Thomas Ray Clevenger Jr. was only 18. He was from Indianapolis and had disappeared in September of 1990. Otto Gary Becker was 42. He was found in a Henry County ditch in August of 1991. Witnesses had seen him in a vehicle traveling on I-465. That's that loop around Indianapolis. Henry County is east of Indianapolis, and I-70 will take you there very easily. Again, we're over on the east side of Indianapolis. But Baumeister wasn't just abducting, murdering, and discarding men that he encountered in bars. When his wife and children were out of town, he would bring men back to his home in Westfield. Fox Hollow Farm had been owned by Baumeister since May of 1988, is what one article I found said. Another article said that they owned that property since since 1991, sometime in 1991. But I'm not, I'll have to double check on that. But sometime in the late earlies or early 90s, they bought Fox Hollow Farm. And whenever the opportunity presented itself, Herb would pick up a victim from a bar and bring them back there. He went by the alias Brian Smart. The woods of Fox Hollow Farm have been searched multiple times. The first search was on June 24, 1996. It turned up bones from 11 victims. Other searches were conducted and other burial sites were found. In December of 2022, one more bone was found and 20 other potential burial sites were found. Since they've been searching, over the times that they've searched, roughly 10,000 bones and bone fragments have been recovered. The work to identify all the victims at Fox Hollow Farms is ongoing. So far, these victims have been identified. John Lee Johnny Bayer. He was 20 when he went missing on Friday, May 28, 1993, at the start of Memorial Day weekend. Jeffrey Allen Jones was 31 years old when he disappeared on July 6, 1993. 20-year-old Richard Douglas Hamilton Jr. went missing on July 31, 1993. Alan Lee Livingston went missing on August 6, 1993. He was only 27. His remains were identified in 2023. Manuel Resendez, age 34, was also last seen on August 6, 1993. He was 45. His remains were recovered in 1996 from Fox Hollow Farm, but they were not identified until 2024. Daniel Thomas Halloran went missing after March 1994, roughly. He was around 21 or 22. Sadly, when people are estranged from their family and old friends, there's no one to keep track of that person. He was identified in 2025 by forensic genealogy. Stephen Sperlin Hale was 28 when he went missing on Friday, April 1st, 1994. Alan Wayne Broussard went missing on Monday, June 6, 1994. He was 28. Roger Goodlett was 33 when he went missing on Friday, July 22nd, 1994. Michael Frederick Kern was last seen on March 31st, 1995. Jerry Williams Comer disappeared on August 8, 1995. His car was found at Castleton Mall in 1995. His remains have not yet been found, but he is believed also to be a victim of Baumeister. Hopefully his remains will one day be found and identified. There may also be other victims. This is an ongoing investigation. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, there were people in the gay community in Indianapolis who were noticing that people were disappearing. As bodies were being found, a community newspaper began to assist investigators and push for more efforts to find this killer. They also did their best to warn people in that magazine, that gay newspaper. They wanted people to watch out. Like they wanted to say, hey, someone in our community or someone is coming into our community and picking up victims, and it's happening over and over again, and watch out. If you see something, please say something. And they served as sort of an unofficial hotline. They asked people, please call in to the newspaper with tips. If you see anything or hear anything, let us know and we'll talk to investigators. Because some people didn't want to come forward, go straight to the police because they were living a closeted lifestyle and they didn't want all of this to come out about them. One of the biggest breaks in the investigation surrounding Baumeister came when a victim escaped. He described Fox Hollow Farm and Herb Baumeister and his car. He gave details about the indoor pool area. He described being choked with a hose during sex by the indoor pool, and he was realizing during sex that Baumeister was a dangerous man, that this man was not just going to choke him a little bit, but this man was trying to kill him. He left the house as quickly as he could, and he told other people in the gay community and also went to the police. This man's name was Tony Harris. Tony Harris, in August of 1995, saw Baumeister out at a bar and followed his car to get a license plate number. Tony Harris had been friends with Roger Goodlett, one of the victims, and knew that Goodlett had gone home with Baumeister before he disappeared. Both men knew Baumeister as Brian Smart at the time, that alias that Baumeister was using. Police approached Herb Baumeister and his wife Julie. Julie could not believe that her workaholic, nerdy husband could be gay, let alone be a serial killer. She did relate, however, the story of the kids finding a medical specimen skeleton in the woods. Police informed Herb Baumeister in late 1995 that he was a suspect in several murders, and they asked to search his home. Both he and his wife denied police permission to search the property. But things weren't going well with the Baumeisters' marriage. Things weren't going well with Save-A-Lot, the grocery store chain. Herb was acting more and more erratic. So Julie's suspicion was raised here, though. She was becoming more and more alarmed at Herb's behavior after the police had spoken with them. She filed for divorce, and then she contacted the police and allowed them to search the property on the 24th of June, 1996, while her Baumeister was on vacation. 11 sets of remains were recovered, and 8 of them were identified quickly. An arrest warrant was made out for Herb Baumeister. Herb then fled to Canada before police could arrest him. He ended his own life with a .357 Magnum. It seems that he wanted for himself a quick and easy death. Investigation and identification is still ongoing. If you have a tip that may help, please reach out to investigators in Hamilton County, Indiana at 317-773-1872. There's still there's still the potential for there to be a lot of victims here that still need to be identified. With 10,000 bone fragments found at the site, it's possible that there are still other victims. Thank you so much if you're subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate that. I didn't initially want to cover the serial killers, but I feel like that information about the things that serial killers do and the places they go and who they interact with and where they were at what time, what place, that can help other investigations. So that's why I do it. But most of my work is concerning the victims, the cold cases, and hoping to solve other cold cases. So thank you so much if you subscribe. I appreciate that. If you could hit that thumbs up for justice button, you don't have to hit that thinking it means like. You can hit that meaning thumbs up for justice if you like justice, because the more people that interact with the videos, either commenting, hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing, saving the videos, sharing the videos, that helps the algorithm send these videos out to other people and push them in front of other folks who may not have looked for this information. But a video about a cold case, about a victim, might get in front of just the right person at just the right time. And they might submit just the right tip, and we could solve a case. So thank you so much again for listening. I hope that today is a good day for you. I hope that you are kind to someone out there in the world, and I hope that someone else is kind to you.